Stein, and I love video games.
私はメガバクです。そしてテレビゲームが大好きです。
I'm not gonna try that, but my name is Rafa Boy, and I love video games.
Hey friends, Vinny here. I wish I sounded as cool as Buck speaking Japanese, but I don't, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We have an amazing show for you this week. We are playing two of the most Japanese video games that I can think of.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It's Persona 3 Reload, the new, very, very, very hot-selling Atlas game, and Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Yes. About time,
This
baby.
entire episode will just be us covering these two games that both have you, I'm going to say capital L, live in Japan. I know that Like a Dragon, you go to Hawaii. I know you start in Japan, but these franchises are so intrinsically linked, I feel like, to the Japanese culture that it's unbelievable. More on that later.
Yeah.
But first, I do want to cover some news because we've got some good stuff. At the top, I want to cover the Xbox business updates that were given by Microsoft recently. So there was, I don't know if it was, I guess it was like a sort of a press release. It was, they informed the media. I think it was, Phil Spencer? This gentleman had some quotes to say about the future of Xbox. Number one, he straight up confirmed that there are 4 Xbox exclusive games that are now going multi-platform. The rumors are that these 4 games
Cool.
are Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and Grounded. Are you guys familiar with all those games?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Which one's Pentiment?
Oh my god.
Pentiment is
Pentiment,
the strategy game that is illustrated like a medieval painting.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like an
okay,
ancient
yeah,
game.
Yeah, you play
yeah,
as like an
okay,
author, and it's
Yep.
very wordy. I did not like it. But those 4 games that were, I think, published by Xbox Studios are now going to be released multi-platform. So the discourse around this, and why I wanted to bring it up, was that gamers are, first of all, they're bringing up like Xbox. I
Why
thought
you
we
do
were
this?
exclusive. I thought Grounded was for us. I didn't. There's now people in the PS5 can become little tiny people in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Sonic on Nintendo consoles? It'll never happen.
It'll never happen.
Oh
So what do you
my.
guys think
Wow.
about this Xbox exclusivity
I just said it.
refrainment?
I think it's awesome because I don't own an Xbox. I have Game Pass on my PC, but you know, it would be nice to be able to play something like Grounded or something like that on my PlayStation.
All of those games are on Game Pass, for the record.
They are, yeah.
They
Just
are
about
all
of
on
them.
Game Pass. So if you
And
have
here
a
we go,
subscription to
yeah.
Game Pass,
AKA,
will
you
get
don't
them
own
all.
any of them.
It leads to the. It does lead to the. Or it does dovetail nicely with what you're saying. The idea of people are saying, is Xbox going to stop making video game consoles? Are they just going to become Game Pass, and then they're just going to
Interesting.
put Game Pass on Sony? They're just going to put Game
Wow.
Pass on Switch. They're just going to put Game Pass on the Steam Deck.
You're not wrong.
That's wild.
That's
Like,
what
that's
people are
as
saying.
a concept. That's crazy
Yeah.
to me.
And so, actually, Phil Spencer clapped back about these accusations in that same press release and was quoted as saying that, no, in fact, you guys prepare for the largest leap in next-gen console hardware ever within a
Really?
generation. And I don't know if you guys remember the end of last year, they were talking about the codename Brooklyn. It was that Xbox that looked like an Alexa. It's like a tube.
I saw that thing.
Okay.
I saw that
Do
thing.
you remember what I'm talking about?
What was it supposed to
Yeah.
be?
It's all
It's
rounded
a-
off. It was really slick looking.
It's really, it looks like Google Home or something. It's cylindrical. It's like the size of, it's like the size of a Foster's can. That's about
Oh,
the
that's
best.
small. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
maybe
big
larger,
beer,
but
small console,
it's
right?
When was the last time you saw a Foster's? This is big.
Yo,
no, but
this looks just like an
it's-
Alexa.
and it looks just
Right,
like
a
it's,
tall Alexa.
Yeah.
and it's all digital from what
Oh.
people have rumored.
Fascinating.
And so it is a piece of hardware, right? And so I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like I said, I brought up that rumor about what if they stop making hardware and they're saying, no, we're gonna make digital. We're gonna make a computer for people who are too lazy to build their own computer.
fascinating.
So okay, so it's supposed to be a console. It's not supposed to be like an Alexa made by Microsoft.
It looks like one, right? Nope. It's a
It's
console.
just an exclusively digital console. Is that what
right,
it is?
which
Like,
they already have, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
there's supposed to
interesting.
be some sort of, like I said, the quote was the largest leap in next gen console hardware ever.
I believe
So-
it when I see it.
God bless.
It's
I-
one
I
of
pray for
those
the
we'll
best.
see kind of things,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Because I
Exactly, yeah.
mean,
Right.
look, most of the games we all know this. Most of the games that come out these days could run just fine on a PS4. They would just be one level of texture lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you see these jumps and these advancements, and it's. I just don't know. I just
Yeah.
don't really. That language doesn't get me excited anymore. Because I know that all you're talking about is a game is going to look a little prettier.
Right.
And-
meanwhile, Sony. Oh, sorry, not to interrupt, but meanwhile, Sony is killing it on the exclusivities grounds. Like,
Oh, they always
yeah,
have, I feel
and
like.
sales of their system.
yeah.
FYI, I've never owned an Xbox either, and I never plan to.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably never gonna own one as well.
Don't need it.
but Yeah, honestly, I've always been a Sony guy. I've always liked PlayStation, Sony and Nintendo. You know, but yeah, I really don't see like a huge difference between like PS4 and PS5 games. Like it feels like all of like these jumps have been very incremental ever since the PS3. So
I
I don't
agree.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Finally, about that, they also mentioned that Diablo 4 will be coming to Game Pass March 28th. In your fucking face, Blizzard. Fuck you.
Oh,
That's-
shit.
I'm not paying for your piece of shit microtransaction game. Give it to me for free.
You still won't want to play it.
Fuck you. I'm gonna play that shit.
I own
Without
it
paying
on
for it, you piece of
Battle.net
shit.
and I don't play it.
Me too.
Stubborn ass
Yeah.
bitches.
This
with
is
their
why I'm
fucking,
never
"It's
gonna
not
buy.
be on
This is
Game
why I'm
Pass."
never gonna buy Pal World. Everyone I know who played it, only 2 of them are left. I knew
They've-
it was going to happen. I knew it was going to be.
lost 3/4 of their player
it's-
base.
Whatever on that,
Yeah,
but
they
it's
call
like
that
It's still a
discourse
big number.
lazy.
It's still a
it
big
is.
number.
Oh, it certainly is. If you're talking about a persistent online game, but I mean, it's the Diablo effect. You know, everybody's so excited, and it's the cool, hotness, and then a month later, nobody's playing it.
So here's the thing with that
don't
is
know,
just
man.
people power through these games that are kind of meant to be played slowly. Like
Yeah, they
Power
end game them in 2
Right,
weeks,
like,
and
a
then they're
lot
like,
of the
what the fuck?
people
Where's the game? You played
that
it for
aren't-
180 hours.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
like the people that aren't playing now, I feel like a lot of them just straight up just got to the end game content because they rushed through it and they're done.
But when
You
that's
know?
when that's your clientele, that's
Yeah.
like 80-90% of their clientele. When that's your clientele, you need to realize ahead of time that you need more content.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
look at Helldivers that just came out. People have been buzzed and excited about it. And I even said, I don't know if I'm going to play that one because I'm not a big looter shooter guy, but it's got a fun, it's the Starship Troopers game that we
Oh, I
all
want
wanted
to
that we
play
didn't
it,
get,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But so here it is, like a week and a half in, and like out of nowhere, they're like, oh yeah, all those bugs a la Starship Troopers you were fighting? There's Terminators on that side of the galaxy, and you got to go fight them. Like it came out of nowhere, and it was like, whoa, you've all
Oh.
grinded to the close to the end of some of this content in a week because that's what gamers do.
Mm.
Here's a whole bunch more content in week 2. Like you guys are smart. You guys have played a video game before.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. We shall see.
Meanwhile,
let's move on.
yeah.
No,
meanwhile,
enough. I've had
I'm
enough
over
of
it.
your preaching, Benacor.
I'm not the preacher here, brother.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Enough of your
I'm-
realism.
Meanwhile, I'm the one person who probably has the most limited time, and I'm still on chapter 8 of Like a Dragon, and it's been out 3 weeks, and I know 6 people who have finished the
Damn.
game.
That's
We've
a
been
hefty
waiting for
one.
this game for 3 years, and 3 weeks later, it's over. Like,
That's longer than any movie I've ever seen.
It's
I
got to
don't
be
know, brother.
satisfying though to be getting that far. I always feel good when I make progress in a JRPG.
oh sure,
Let's
Yeah.
focus. Let's focus up.
Okay, okay. All right, all right,
You
all right,
guys
all
are
right, all right,
meandering.
all right.
All right. So the next story I have here is that the studio that makes Disco Elysium reportedly had an expansion pass that they were working on, or not an expansion pass, but an expansion to the game that they were working on that got canceled. And now a bunch of people that work at that studio might
Oh.
get laid off.
Oh
Aw.
shit.
that's
They
crazy.
just had a bunch of their people report that they had redundancy in their jobs now that they weren't working on this game. And,
Oh, wow,
man,
that's a bummer. I love that game.
can you
I
imagine?
love
Can
that
you
game.
imagine the expansion to Disco Elysium?
I'm still playing it, man, and I love it. It's such a good game. Like the writing is just so awesome.
That's
More
a bummer.
of it.
But you can see how much effort goes into that. Yeah, if they do DLC, that means writing all that content, recording all that
Oh,
content.
yeah.
Like that's a lot of work.
I think
What is
Baldur's
this?
Gate put pressure on him.
To cancel it or to do it?
But like maybe they started doing it and then they're like, we gotta make it fucking big because Baldur's Gate, and then they were like, oh fuck, we can't make it big. Like let's just not.
Meanwhile, Baldur's Gate adding more kissing animations in the update this week.
Yeah.
Hell
yeah, I love
kissing.
Oh boy,
That's sad.
Oh
that's
my
good.
gosh.
It makes my game so much better.
Give me some besitos.
But
All right.
but I concede you've got a large number of people who are legitimately excited about that. So
No, that is cool.
Sure.
I mean, all jokes aside, that's cool.
fine.
Like, that's fun.
I'm happy that they're happy.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
All right.
I don't give a shit.
next From Sony, we've got the announcement that the PS5 it's getting old, y'all. Apparently, it's in the quote
This is
unquote latter
non-news.
stages of its life.
This is non-news.
Okay,
it's
so
it's
Here's the
so
thing.
silly.
But I did the math on this, right? So the PS4 came out in 2013, right? PS5 was announced officially in 2019. So that's 6 years later they announced it, and it came out in 2020. That means like the end of 2025-ish, give or take. It's like it's the same timeline, and that's like a year and a half away
Yeah.
that they would announce a PS, 2 years tops that they would announce the PlayStation 6. PS6 sounds weird.
PS6.
PS6.
It hurts hard to say.
But the time, so one, the timeline fits. Two, there's that what's that theory that computing power doubles itself every 18 months?
Right.
Moore's law.
Yeah. So it's like, so you're telling me that a technology window is not going to get smaller because the technology jumped that much in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it,
know.
but
I don't know.
Damn.
Meanwhile, my PS4 is still chugging away back there. That's the only one that I have. I don't have a PS5, but you guys are talking about the PS5 life cycle ending, and I'm a whole life
I
cycle
hope there's
behind.
a PS5 price drop so I can get one before
I
it's
hope
too
so,
late.
right?
Jesus Christ, man.
That'd be great.
I own more PS2 games than I own any of those other consoles, and I own more PS1 games than PS2 games. So.
Straight up,
Sure.
yeah. I've got a whole box under my bed full of
PS2
PS2 games.
That's fair.
Yeah. God, please drop the price so I can get one.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally, we got a story from each major gaming console this week. There was a Switch 2 leak that indicates that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible with Switch cards.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
You know what? I am jazzed about the Switch 2.
Me too.
Go
And
on.
I'll tell you why. Because you've got these technological leaps going on in Xbox and PlayStation land, and I'm not knocking it. They're great consoles. But I think we can all agree that in today's standard of AAA gaming, the Switch is technologically challenged.
Yes.
A
Yeah,
little bit.
100%.
I mean,
on
we've all
purpose,
seen
yeah.
we've all seen the Mortal Kombat memes. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The Switch 2, I haven't seen the specs on it or anything yet, but if you're telling me that you can get that you can get close to like a modern, nice middle of the road standard for AAA games, I don't need ultra resolution on everything like
No.
on my PC or anything like that. But doing that in a handheld that is not a PlayStation Portal operated completely off of Wi-Fi and still gives a great TV and handheld experience in the same piece of hardware, I am psyched, especially if it's
Yeah.
backwards compatible.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really excited to see where that goes.
I'm
Truly.
stoked.
Make it heavy, man. I want to switch. People were talking about Switch Lights a few years ago, but give me a Switch heavy. Give me the big boy.
Like a Steam Deck, yeah.
yeah,
the
yes,
I want one that-
exactly. And then along
Yeah.
came the Steam Deck.
Like, I want one that doesn't feel like it's gonna break if I'm holding it in my hand the wrong way. Because sometimes I feel like my Switch is a little fragile.
Dude,
Like I'm holding it.
the
I'm like,
light
"Mm, I don't
even
wanna
more
break
so.
it."
I'm telling you, I feel. Am I about to break this controller? Because
Right?
it's not.
Yeah. The Joy Cons, they're kind of flimsy.
You know, I think what happens there is Nintendo, in its ever infinite wisdom, is in that we made that joke with Tecmo Bowl about, gameplay is more important than graphics.
Oh yeah.
And so then they
100%.
said, well, okay, if we're going in that direction and we're not worried about the graphics and the computing power as much, what is going to continue to make us stand out? They put all that weight into the DS and the DS Lite and the 3DS, and they sold like bonkers. And they just made the genius move of saying, we're not going to have a handheld anymore because our main console is a handheld. It
Yeah.
was
Fantastic.
a genius tech move.
It really is.
And there's no way they're going to pull back on that. They're going to double down on that, right?
yeah.
And that also, once again, ties right in with the idea of, are games going to be digital forever now, or are they going to still make carts? And Nintendo says, fucking physical games forever. You can play your Switch carts on our new shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's go.
That's
my question is-
yeah.
Nintendo.
Anything that I own in like on my like Nintendo account, is that going to transfer over? That's my question.
No way. Buy it
The
again.
eShop
sucker.
is
Yeah, right,
closed.
yeah.
You goodbye.
Hey,
now.
hey,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa. Don't get ahead of yourself, Ralph.
Yeah. Lois,
I have
these
cool
aren't my
wishful
DS
thinking
games.
at this point, right?
What we're going to
That's
give you
just
is a
wishful
digital
thinking.
copy, but when we sell to Disney, all your digital
God.
copies are going to go defunct, and you
What's
got to
that?
buy the games again.
You
Oh,
want
no.
Nintendogs? That'll be $60.
Damn.
Look, I know what I got. Don't try to lowball me. I got
Mario is an
Nintendo.
enforcer
full
for
retail.
Nintendo, and he comes and breaks your legs if you don't pay the full retail price, even though the game is 10 years old.
Which is only really funny because Mario's named Mario because of landlord, the original Nintendo landlord in the States, whose name was Mario.
Really?
So you know he was like an
Ooh.
Italian guy. I was like, yeah, at least this to some Nintendo folks from Japan. I don't know. They
I
pay
don't
on time.
know.
It's fine.
I don't know. They pay good. I don't know.
You named
Hey,
it
yo.
after me. That's so nice. You got to pay
Yeah.
rent on time in full.
That's really funny. I had no idea.
They love
All right,
naming
that's
their
it for the
characters.
news. For me, let's move on to our main event of the day. Let's take a flight.
Japan.
Okay, we're back. We're back, and we're about to dive in head first into two very thick video games.
Hey, no, Mac, I got you. 私の下手な日本語ですみません。このエピソードをお楽しみください。
My man.
Damn, that's awesome.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
ありがとうございます。
So for this
Arigatou
episode,
gozaimasu.
I'll peel back the curtain. These games are so big, we couldn't all four of us play both these games. So we split into teams. Raph and I took Persona, and Venny and Buck, who are already like a dragon nuts, went ahead and devoured that bad boy. So we're
Team
going to cover.
Yakuza, let's go.
We are going to cover Persona 3 first, because I have a feeling that their thoughts on Yakuza are going to be a lot crazier than our thoughts on this 2006 game that's been remade. So
Yeah.
I played it on the PSP originally.
yeah. Okay. So, well, no. Okay. Here we go. I'm about to get into it. So, Persona 3 Reload is developed and by Atlas and P Studios. So, P Studios is just an internal team at Atlas that is devoted solely to making Persona games now.
Oh.
And then it's published by, of course, Atlas and Sega. So we have that in common. Yes?
No way. I didn't realize that.
Yes. Mhm.
And
Which means the music is good in both of them.
and much like a lot of Sega properties, man, this game franchise and this whole universe that they have is just so beloved in Japan. I remarked on that earlier. But so this game is a remake of Persona 3, which originally came out for the PS2 in 2006. 2006 was a different time.
Yeah.
It is the best way I can surmise my feelings about this game. Don't get it twisted. I
What do you
like
mean by that, Mac? What do you
I
mean by
like
that?
this game,
Mhm.
but you can they this is a great remake as well. We're about to get into all the things that we like about it.
Yeah.
But they didn't change the plot of the game. They didn't change the mechanics of the game to a great degree. And so it plays and it feels like a game that is almost 20 years old now, right? And
Right. Yeah.
it's
I see
hard
what
to
you-
put your finger
yeah.
on what that feels like. But me and Raph were talking about this. Raph, you felt this way as well, yes?
Yeah. I think not to get too spoilery on our opinions here. Like I think I viewed the game a little bit more favorably than Mac did. But it definitely does feel like a game from 2006 as far as like the story. It's like edgy Persona 5, honestly. What they did with it as far as mechanics is they Persona 5'd it. They gave it the Persona 5 royal treatment. It feels like Persona 5, and because of that, it feels very good to play. The mechanics and animation are really really good in this one. This one looks a little bit better than Persona 5 in my opinion. But it could definitely be maybe improved in a couple of
Deeper.
places. Yeah, in a couple of places it could
Um,
maybe be improved for sure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, these guys got yakas over there, which I know makes people cry. Anyways,
Yeah.
so a brief history
More than
on
once.
just like the Persona franchise in general, because this is a long running video game franchise. So
Yeah.
the first Persona video game, when it was released in America, it was released in 1996. It was called Revelations: Persona.
I played it. I own it.
I remember watching Bug play it. It's so funny. I
Had
have
that
a
weird
very-
first-person maze was so weird.
Yes.
And that overworld map that was like very like polygon, like low poly, but the
Yeah.
music was
Oh,
balling.
yeah.
I have
man,
the
it
o-
looks
the
so
original soundtrack.
PS1. That low poly look that you're talking about is just like so.
Persona.
It's
Yes.
iconic for the time, man. It's beautiful.
So these games, these Persona games, of which this third one was actually the fourth one. I want to say the fourth mainline game in the series I read, but they belong in the what's known as the Megami Tensei universe.
Right.
So this is a Sega Atlas thing. So
Yeah.
Atlas makes these games. They include games like Devil Summoner, Shin Megami Tensei, Devil
Nocturne,
Survivor.
yeah.
There's Persona and several others. They all share this sort of vague universe with one another. And mostly, more than anything, they all share the same assets.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
they Atlas these games, these games that take place in the Megami Tensei universe, have these roster of demon characters that have stayed essentially the same since 1996.
Jack Frost. and
Yeah, about to
some
say
of those.
you probably, if you've seen any of them, you've seen either Jack Frost or Jack O'Lantern, which are both like
Right.
little tiny sprites. One's a snowman and one's like a floating ghost guy with a pumpkin head.
Mac, let's
like I
not beat
saw-
around the bush.
yeah.
They've seen Mara. They've seen Mara.
Or the Pixie is also a pretty
Pixie's
Oh,
a
yeah.
pretty popular one. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Angel.
much so.
I think I saw Angel in 5 and 3 as well.
So they have this roster of these demon characters, and they pretty much treat them like Pokemon.
Right.
Most of the games, it's like they're pretty much all RPGs, and they differ slightly in the fact that like some of them will have it where it's half school simulator, half RPG. Some are just straight up RPG where you're a demon. Some are like puzzle games that are also RPG in combat. But almost all of them revolve around catching and then combining this roster of demons that they have assembled.
Right.
So it's like Digimon, it's like Pokemon, but with like in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which is it was my first foray into the Megami Tensei universe. I played that game in college. It's for the PS2. It is fantastic. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But my party in that game consisted of myself, Famine from the Apocalypse, like
The
the
Four Horsemen?
rider of Pestilence,
One of the
Yeah.
Four Horsemen.
Wukong
Yeah.
from the Ancient Monkey King from the Chinese folklore tale, and Dante from Devil May Cry. So
Just Dante
the
in there.
demons that they put in this game will be everything from basic yokai of Japanese Shintoism to Thor or the Baba Yaga, like strange creatures of folklore from all different cultures. It's really cool because you can catch like demons and witches, but then you can also catch like I fought something today that was just a dancing couple, and in between them was a floating severed head that was shaped like a heart.
Crazy.
And it was just a weird character model. This game's
I
got
like
really
the-
cool style.
The blood
Um,
asterisk yokai is like my favorite one because it just has the stupidest face and it's just an asterisk in red. It's just a
But
drop of
so
blood or something like that.
that's the universe these games belong into, and I mentioned it before. Persona is the line of these Megami Tensei universe games that involves dividing your time in between exploring a dungeon and fighting these rosters of demons and going to school and hanging out with your friends.
Going to high
Right.
school
Yeah,
Yeah.
and your
Right.
part-time jobs and
right. So that's it. That's basically it. We're about to get into it all, but right up top. I didn't play this game when it first came out. Okay,
Me
so
neither,
I'm
me
just
neither,
playing this remake straight up.
I think my
I
first
played Persona 5
Right.
before I played this game, and I think it really hurt my ability to enjoy this game.
Oh,
Yeah.
It
Yeah, I
sucks
think
to say.
what
but-
we talked about it earlier, and I think I had said basically like I think Persona 5 is a better game overall, but I think the Persona 3 Reload is kind of a better JRPG.
I'll say
that makes
I
sense.
would agree with you. We talked about this morning. It's
Yeah.
more streamlined
Right.
at the very least. Persona 5 is a masterpiece. It's
Yeah,
one of the
100%.
most people love this game across the world because it has a little something for everybody, I want to say. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yep.
Whereas this game feels like I'm really not trying to generalize culture when I say this, but it feels like Japanese people would love it. Like I think
you're not
Buck-
wrong.
Me and Buck
No,
have
I'm
talked
sure,
about
yeah.
this. We're like in MMORPGs, right? Like grinding. I'm not trying to generalize, but I swear to God, they enjoy grinding in video games.
It's their style. Look at the old Monster Hunter games compared to the
I
new ones.
enjoy
Thank you.
grinding too. It's
Thank
the
you.
same. I
Right.
understand. I'm that
No,
kind
yeah.
of gamer.
And this game is that.
Yeah.
And so
It's
that's why I
definitely
think
grindy.
when Raph is saying it's a better representation of a JRPG, I think he's right. And I think I was like, you know what? I like all the cheesy storyline, all the
Mhm.
melodrama between the characters about like the prettiest girl actually is the most self-conscious person. Like these sort of extra little. It's like season 2 of Twin Peaks. You know what I mean? With all the extra dumb shit. I like all the extra dumb shit. So let's get into it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go in
let's do
order
it.
of things that I have the most critiques on to the least. So that brings me to the plot, the writing, the very rote shonen-esque another season of an anime style of the tone of the writing. Raph, can you help me here on helping to
Yeah.
describe the vibe of the writing and the plot?
Trying to interpret personas is funny.
So honestly, for me, it's just the characters feel a little bit flat when comparing it to like Persona 5, for example. You get to know all of those characters pretty well, and to be fair, it's a big hefty game, and we really only dipped our toes in it. Truthfully, like even if we played for like 10 hours, that's
Gotta
still
say,
just tipping
25
your
I'm like 20
Yeah.
hours in, and I'm still don't have.
So you beat
all
the
characters.
tutorial.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like we're
Yes.
just basically dipping our toes into this. And I at this point right now, like the story hasn't really opened up yet. We're just kind of going into the dark hour, into the Tartarus, the tower, the tower that you go into during the dark
Mhm.
hour, the main dungeon of the game.
Yeah.
It really just has you going into the dungeon at night, then living your life as a student during the day, but there's no, I don't know. The writing of the characters themselves is sort of bland. Like I don't have the feelings for any of these characters that I have for the ones in 5. I will say this, I think the voice acting in this game is better. And the animation, obviously, like I love the talking heads that actually talk. You don't have that in 5. It's just a talking head usually with just like an expression. You actually see their mouth moving and stuff like that. That looks kind of cool.
It's a reload thing, huh?
I believe so. Yeah.
Is it?
So-
yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah.
to summarize the plot without any spoilers, just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
right
I don't want to
away.
get too
So,
spoiler. Yeah.
the premise is you're a new kid in town, which is almost always the case in Persona games.
Right.
And you're a new kid at school.
RPGs in general.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
yeah.
especially again, has Japanese like all over it, where it's just like this feels like another season of an anime that I would like to maybe watch a couple episodes of.
Only
So
a
the
couple.
premise is you're new to school, you're new to this town. There is a hidden 13th hour that takes place after midnight. And normally, most people can't see it. Almost everybody is asleep, but you're one of the special people, of which there are like 6 that just happen to go to the same school as you, which hopefully will unfold itself later, that can stay up and see the 13th hour,
Mhm.
right? Basically, that 13th hour is like an alternate realm version of where they live in Japan. So it mostly revolves around them going to their school during the 13th hour, where in which it becomes this tower called Tartarus. If in Persona 5 the mementos is like just you going down randomly generated dungeons, Tartarus is just you going up randomly generated dungeons.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just that. It's basically this tower is filled with shadows, and in a very Persona-esque typical fashion, the shadows are making people depressed.
Yeah. Suicidal, even.
I'm about to say, because I don't know if you know this about Japan, but they've got a bit of a suicide issue.
They do.
And so it's, of course, the plot is that these shadows are making people kill themselves. And so it's up to you to stop
Save
them.
the world, maybe? I don't know.
The
Like,
end of explanation of the plot.
Save happiness.
you know, everyone keeps saying in the game like that the fate of the world depends on you, and I'm just like, why? Like, why? Why
Right.
does the fate of the
And
what
the
is
answer will
happening?
just be like, because like you don't want people to suffer, right? And it's like, well, I mean, no, I guess not. But like by that logic, I should just not go to school. I should just like search around town, look for people who need help, and then just help
Yeah.
them all day. Like
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know.
So funny.
It's not Persona 5 where it's you know you got the mementos and you have the palaces with the meta storyline and the you know the gym teacher is abusing his power and doing this, or this person is copyright infringing on his students' work, and these complex storylines where people talk about how they feel about themselves and how they feel about each other
Yeah.
is just, as of now, I have not gotten any of it at all. It has just been a bunch of people who like want to do good,
Yeah.
period. Like there's like want to do good in school and I want to do good in the dungeon. Like because
Yeah.
good is good. It's like
It's
yeah,
like it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but like if the characters didn't actually care about each other or really have any sort of like real interactions,
Shit,
whereas
that's funny.
5 definitely feels like Buffy the Vampire Slayer because it's all these like little romances and little like dialogues between people. I think 3 really heavily relies on its central mystery to be compelling enough to keep you playing. Whereas 5 has a lot of little mechanical tricks that keep you playing.
Right.
The time crunch, the 2 weeks that you have to like get into the dungeon and get through with it, or you guys are in trouble.
let's
Right.
expand on that in a moment.
That's
I'm
a,
gonna
that's
talk
a
about the
really good
gameplay.
assessment, Ref. That's a
Yes.
really good assessment.
Mm-hmm.
The music is the next thing I want to touch on.
Oh, baby. Let's
Listen.
go.
Yeah.
The music in this game is some really good and some not so good.
Yeah, there's a couple that aren't very
And
good in it. but
again,
there's
I
a few really
think
good
this is
tracks.
one of those things where I'm just spoiled by Persona 5 having one of the most jazziest, pumped up, awesome soundtracks of all time, whereas this one, it's got some great tracks in it, but there are some that have Japanese rap in them, and it is just like, listen, man, I'm
Some
not
of
trying
these-
to.
some of
Again,
these
I'm not
rap-
trying to be a dick about this, but like, it just. Okay, I'm gonna play the music that plays when you're in your dorm room, which, by the way, you're in a lot, and
Yeah.
it starts
Yeah.
out really, really good,
So-
and
Yeah.
then when he starts rapping, can we?
Yeah, we lose
Yeah,
Mac.
here we go.
All right. This sounds like Persona. Real quick, I want to highlight a lyric here that he rhymes he rhymes the word biz with Biz. Here we
It's
go.
a little Wayne rhyme.
So dance if you wanna go ahead. Free to do whatever. I'm chilling on my bed. I'm minding my biz, so mind your own biz.
I'm minding my biz, so mind your own biz.
Is that a,
Jesus Christ.
is that a reload thing also? Because I do not remember that track.
I
don't
don't know, but
Yeah, I
if
don't
it
know.
was, shame on you for adding it in the game.
Yeah.
Because every time you reload the day,
That starts playing again.
I'm minding my biz, so mind your own biz. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, it hurts to hear it. I hear it every time. It's so painful.
Now, I do want to talk about one of the tracks that I thought was awesome. Do you have the one from the? I think it's like the square, like with the shops and all that.
Yes, so
I forgot what
there's
it's
a-
called.
Let's see here.
It's this one that I
This
think
one,
I'm
okay,
thinking
here we
of.
go.
Yeah, this is my favorite track.
This is the one that plays the launch.
Yeah, I like that.
I never felt like
Right there.
miserable. I never knew I'm thinking this will last forever. Baby, stay with me.
This track I wish was in more areas.
Yeah,
Like,
did that.
they don't
Like those
play this
vocals
one
slap,
enough.
melody slaps.
I never
Break
felt
here, and
like
then, of course, I want to cover the combat music
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
because an RPG. We talked about this in our episode with Sea of Stars. An RPG lives and dies by its combat music. I feel like. So I'm gonna play the combat music here, and we'll just give it a listen. This one features a little bit of this rap, but then it does have some vocalization that really comes in strong.
disturbing the peace. Look into my eyes. Now tell me the things you love in the
Really, really, really good. Very anime. Whenever you find the weakness of the anime and it crash zooms on your face and this song is going on in the background and then the thing, and then Persona and
Your character shoots himself in the face.
Your character pulls out a freaking gun and shoots themselves in the head, which leads me perfectly into the gameplay of this game.
Yeah.
So, these RPGs have pretty much always worked the same way. Whenever it's your character's turn, you have a couple different options of things you can do. Mostly, I mean, you can use items, you can run, you can whatever, but you can attack with your basic weapon, or you can summon the persona that is attached to your character to do a magic spell. That's how the MP and magic works in this game. In other Persona games, there's a litany of different ways these characters summon their personas. I should mention that a persona within the universe of this game, and I guess also in real life, is defined as like, this mask that you put on. It's who you are to other people. And so these characters' personas are thematically linked to their personalities. And the way the characters summon their personas in this game is they put a gun to their head and shoot themselves in the head.
Yeah.
Leading to Raf's comment about how this game is an edgier Persona 5.
Yeah, it's edgy Persona 5. Yeah.
Right out the top of the game, it gives you a warning. Warning, there are
Yeah.
themes of suicide and child abuse in this game. Do not play this if you are sensitive to these things.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. It's a cool way to summon your persona. This game is super streamlined. When it comes to the gameplay, there are only 3 social stats that you have in this game compared to Persona 5's 5. There's only 1 dungeon compared to Persona 5's. I don't even know. I didn't get to them all. So this game is incredibly streamlined, like Raph says. So it's not bad,
Yeah.
It's just flavored in one very distinct flavor.
Mhm.
I will say that I think dungeon traversal feels better in this game.
I agree.
I like the fact that I could just run around. There's no like sneaking. There's kind of like a sneaking mechanic. You can come up behind things, strike them first, and then you have the initiative in combat. But with 5, you were literally sneaking. You were snapping from corner to corner, which kind of was always very janky. This feels really good to just kind of run around and then just be able to swing your sword.
Yep.
Also, like, I just, like, as an aside, I want to say they never say whether or not those guns and those swords are fucking real, like, because like they just gloss over
In
it. They're like, yeah,
5,
it's not, yeah.
they're models, but in this one, they're just like, I don't know, you got guns, whatever.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
fucking
In
cares?
5, it's like
Yeah, yeah.
because you're in this mental world, like the gun, because they don't know the gun's not real. In their head, the gun is real, and it works. But in this, it's just, is it a real gun or not? I don't know.
And then the one gameplay change in this game that I noticed about Persona 5 that I actually like is that you don't have to talk to the personas to capture them.
Right.
At the end of some of the battles, you just draw random like things that'll happen. Like you'll get more experience points, or you'll recover half your health bar, or you'll just snag a persona that way. And I think that the talking to the personas things is cool, but goddamn, it got tedious after when you're trying to catch this guy and you've fought him so many times and you gotta knock him down, and then you gotta answer a series of riddles basically in order to get him into your freaking party just so you can turn him into someone else.
It's obtuse. Yeah, it's
Right.
a very like obtuse system that
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm doing with it sometimes. Like I get suggestions from Morgana in that game that are like, "Oh, this persona is like this. Maybe you should talk to it like this." And then I try that and it's like, "No, it doesn't work."
Yeah, it's hard. And finally, the best thing about this game, Raph already touched about it, is the way it looks. And man, I hadn't played the original Persona 3. I looked at it today, and they really did a good job. This game looks even better than Persona 5 Royal. They added the full cutscenes where you watch the models in space talk to each other and act things out. You can auto skip the text where you just watch basically a little cutscene anime. It's great. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
The animations are also really cool, and of course the character designs have always been cool of these Atlas games.
I think this game does a really good job with the texturing on the actual models of the characters. They look like they're hand drawn almost.
Yeah.
But they're just, I don't know, they're very detailed, comparatively to 5. We're comparing 5 and 3 a lot, obviously. This is the most recent entry
Right.
before this one. But I don't know, like 5's character models, they look like 3D characters that are cell shaded. They look more like anime characters, like actually hand drawn anime characters.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
But that's it. That's it for my synopsis of Persona 3 Reload. I enjoyed what I played, but I don't know if I'll finish it. This game is big, and there's so many games out right now, and it's not grabbing me like 5 did.
Yeah. I think I might continue playing it, but I definitely want to finish 5 first.
Yeah.
You have to be in the mood for a grindy RPG, right?
Absolutely.
Like you have to be
Yeah.
in the right frame of mind to
Yeah.
play a game like that.
Yeah,
It's
like
true.
Raph
I've
been
said,
playing
there's
Final
not
Fantasy
there's not as
VII,
many gameplay hooks. Like, if
Yeah.
you go to this on this day, it does this, and this will be closed. There's just really not any of that, and so
Yeah.
it's But that's it. I'm done talking about Persona 3, mostly because I wanna hear about Like a Dragon.
Yeah, I kind of want to hear about this too.
Gentlemen, take it away.
Oh,
Oh,
bossu. Attaboy.
Bosu kohi wa
So-
oishii desu.
So- We'll jump right in. What Buck just popped
What
is a
Big
Boss
Boss Buck
Rainbow
just said.
coffee. The reason this is so significant to us is because not only is it a real coffee made by Suntory, the whiskey people, canned coffee is big in Japan, by the way, but it is also a recurring health and magic recovery item. Well, health in the originals. It is a prominent recovery item in the game and has
Reduce
been
your
since the
drunkenness.
very beginning. Oh my gosh. Buck, I know you and I are such big fans of Japanese culture, and Yakuza just drips, man.
The
And-
thickest
yes.
of Japanese culture.
Well, it so does so very
Impenetrably
much.
sometimes.
Yeah, and the biggest thing we want to go into, I would like for Mr. Venacore to do the big introduction to this, because he is the biggest Yakuza guy here, and playing the entire series for sure. But you're absolutely right. It drips so much the Japanese culture with the places you go to and the things that you do and the people that you interact with. I think he just should, I don't know, take it away with some of the history of Yakuza.
I will, buddy. I will. Yakuza,
Take me away
also
to
known
that
as
beautiful island, Japan.
I got you. I got you, buddy. Once upon a time in the PlayStation 2 days, there was this little game that came out called Yakuza. It wasn't really heralded as anything, huge or special in the United States. But it was the beginning of something really special, in my opinion. And to really understand Yakuza, we have to go back even further to the Sega Dreamcast. I say often that Shenmue was the real first Yakuza game, if anybody remembers Shenmue.
Oh,
At
absolutely.
its core,
Yeah, that makes so much
Yakuza
sense.
is an open world adventure game at its core. Okay. The RPG elements and turn-based stuff, that's new. Let's start from the beginning. When Ryo Hazuki, I believe that was his name in Shenmue, was walking around doing the claw grabbing game, interviewing people in town, playing a little, gambling on the side. This was the training ground, I believe, for Sega to really flesh out what Yakuza ended up being. And it is very much realistic fiction, and most of the game takes place in an area of Tokyo called Kamurocho, which is actually a play on Kabukicho, Tokyo, which is the red light district of Tokyo. Buck has been there; he knows what I'm talking about. If you've ever played a Yakuza game, you've been to Kamurocho. But like I said, at its core, it's very much an open world adventure game. You've got this very, very strong story, like right from day one, right from the very first minute you start playing the game. The story just hooks you right away, and you immediately care about this guy, and you want to know what the hell's going on. This is the very first 5 minutes of Yakuza 1, so I'm just going to say there's a murder. And Kazuma Kiryu, oh, by the way, it was the boss of the Yakuza family
That was murdered, right.
that he's in. And he goes to jail for his sworn brother so that his sworn brother would not have to suffer the consequences or die for it.
Sounds familiar.
That's the very beginning of the first Yakuza game. It's literally the first 5 minutes. So you're not, nothing's being
Typical
spoiled for you
organized
right now.
crime stuff.
Right.
What really I believe sets Yakuza apart is the world building, the reward systems, gameplay itself, and the distinction between main content in Yakuza and side content in Yakuza. I will say this till the day I die. I'll stand on the hill with this one. But Yakuza does side content, in my opinion, better than any franchise out there.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple. And what makes me say that is because you actually want to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And you really look forward to it, and it's fun. And some of it's popcorn, really easy, pick up, put it down. Hey, I'll play a quick hand of blackjack. I'll grind blackjack for 30 minutes to get this, special piece of, accessory or whatever. But it can be that simple. I mean, karaoke, as you can see behind me, if you're watching on YouTube, I have a complete Yakuza karaoke list. It's every karaoke song ever in Yakuza. I'm that much of a nerd. But and again, that's part of the side content. You can do karaoke, you can do gambling, you can do the cabaret club mini games where you're forming relationships with these girls in the cabaret club. And one of the games, you even run the cabaret club. There's always a side business, and then there's always the sub stories. The sub stories are, I think, one of the best parts of the game. And it's where Yakuza's charm really starts to shine, because you've got this
Absolutely.
game that is this serious, I mean, it's fiction, but it's damn realistic. This really serious story about, takeovers and murder and illegal, kidnapping and all
if
this.
you don't know, the Yakuza is the arm of organized crime in Japan.
It's the Japanese mafia.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Japanese
Japanese mafia.
Sopranos, basically. So when he's saying
So-
this is like a hard-boiled crime plot. Like,
So when we talk about the name of the series, it's always been called Like a Dragon in Japan, because I don't think they had the balls to call it
It's
Yakuza
deadly serious
over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Over here, it was called Yakuza. They're like, yeah, we can
Oh.
get away with it, maybe. And then after
That's a
it
great point.
started getting popular, they're like, okay, maybe
That's
we'll
really interesting, Buck. I never thought of
match
it that
those up.
way because
Oh,
I
yeah.
always thought, it's more of an American name. They just want to call it Yakuza so people might get interested. But that's a really good point. They may have not done it in Japan that way
Yeah,
on purpose.
I think it's not worth messing with. Yeah, they like to
Really good
pretend
point.
that it doesn't exist.
Right.
Right.
Really
Like a
good
lot of
point.
things in
Right.
Japan.
Yeah.
So kind of back on track with this really serious storyline and these very mature threads, weaving through these games. But then you get to the side stories, which are nothing short of fucking goofy.
The
as
exact
shit.
opposite. Yeah.
The
Yeah, there's
exact
one in
opposite.
particular in number 7 where you have to save a man's pet crawfish. So you dive into the river there, and where were you in Kamurocho when that happened, or Ijincho? I forget.
No,
When
you
got-
were in Ijincho.
and you dove into there to save the crawfish to bring it back to him, only to learn that the homeless man really just wanted to cook him for lunch. So you save the crawfish, and the crawfish becomes your pet.
I see in the new one. There's like a
It's
sub.
wonderful.
Yeah, where the crawfish falls in love, and you gotta get
The crawfish is still your pet in number 8.
Oh,
Wait,
incredible.
what?
Yes. So the whole point there was like when this game came out, it was funny. It's been getting great reviews. It got a 10 out of 10 from Famitsu magazine, which is the big Japanese game magazine, which is amazing. They've only done that to like 40 or
Well-deserved.
50 games in their
Well-deserved.
40-year history,
Oh my
like
God,
Ocarina
really?
of Time and shit, right? But it was so funny because there was a reviewer that gave it like an 8 out of 10, whereas everybody else gave it 9 and 10s. And his review was, it's a great this and great combat, but the
wanna know
roller
what he said?
coaster. Yeah,
I've got it
yeah,
up.
Yeah,
I've
yes,
got it up.
Please.
And it was one of those, tell me you've never played Yakuza without telling us you've never played Yakuza. Quote, the good? Oh, the systems have been significantly improved and make combat a consistent joy. The bad? Wildly inconsistent tone and messaging hurt the storytelling in the main and side content. You fucking joke of a journalist. You've never played a Yakuza game.
That's
There's
really
a
They just don't get it.
That's
They
the
don't get it.
charm.
Exactly. They
Right.
just
That's
don't get
the
it.
charm.
They don't get
Right.
it.
That's really funny.
Grow a sense of humor.
Right.
So funny. So what Venny's talking about too with those side content is a lot of it ties into basically a reward system, especially in the newer ones, in the 2 Like a Dragon's turn-based ones. You have bonds with all of your team members, and I'm not talking about levels. I'm not talking about initial combat prowess. I'm talking about how well you get along with them, how much of their side content, how much have you learned about that character, how much have you gone to the bar and drank with them and listened to them and talked to them about things. Raising that level gives them access to more abilities and increases their prowess in combat with you also. It'll make it in the turn-based ones where they'll follow up an attack that you do or something like that. That's a newer feature in the Like a Dragon's, the 2 turn-based one. But I'd really like to hear Venny go more into the base series and the other spin-offs as well too before we get too much into Like
He's
a
right,
Dragon
and
7
and
8.
it's gotten so much better. Like that is probably that is a really great peak to where they have gone with the side content and character development and bonds and all that. But I think one of my favorite parts of the series is there are tangible rewards to doing the side quests, the side content, the sub stories. There's always like a either really strong item or like permanent buffs or permanent conveniences that unlock for you when you actually do some of the side
That's a
content.
good way to
It's-
put it. Yeah.
yeah. And it's not just, side quests for the sake of side quests. Oh, we got some money or we got, something.
Mhm.
One of, I think, the best examples is in part 7 and part 8 when you do the business side quest, the business mini game, I guess. In 7, it was
10
a
hour long
business-
mini game, but yeah.
Well,
This is the
in
thing with
7,
the
it
chicken.
was,
Is this the one where the chicken helps you run the business, or is this
Yes.
a different one? Okay.
No.
that's part 7. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part 7.
In part
What?
7,
In a minute. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
we'll get there.
Because it ties into a different piece of the game.
Right. In part 7, it's the business, it's the food business, and then in part 8, it's the island building. It's your own little Animal Crossing minigame, and the grand reward to completing that to its full doneness
Mhm.
is this massive AOE attack that the main character can summon. It's this.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not going to
cool.
tell you what it is,
Yeah.
but it makes sense
Yeah.
that would be a reward for some kind of business.
In
That's
businessy.
great
In
RPG
7
stuff. I love
in
that.
7
Yeah.
If you get the level beyond that, you get a playable character. You unlock an extra character in number 7 if you
Holy shit.
max out the business game, and the business game was pretty fun too. And
It
she's
was
pretty
fun.
good.
She was in my final party, actually.
Yeah, I think me too. Yeah, for a lot of that. And so there's all these different pieces and parts to that game, but to take it a step back to make you understand where Infinite Wealth comes from, what all of what Venny described previous in the Yakuza series, 1 through 6 plus 0 plus even Gaiden, A Man Who Erased His Name, Yakuza in its gameplay style was basically a brawler, a beat 'em up. It was in the streets, square, square, triangle does a combo, but it's got more than that. You switch fighting styles, which make you either more of a grappler on the fly or more of a heavy haymaker hitter or a quick type. There's different fighting styles that Kiryu has. Kazuma Kiryu is the main character for those 6-7 main games. And they did some spin-off titles. They did the Judgment titles, which was a little more of a detective game, but again, still a brawler beat 'em up at their core. The biggest difference is you had some detective gadgets and gizmos and drones and other fun things that you could do during the fights that when you did those. When they decided to make the change of switching from the mainline series to this Like a Dragon series. So the most recent one, Infinite Wealth, is number 8. The previous Like a Dragon was number 7, the one that's just Yakuza Like a Dragon. That was the first turn-based one. And up until this one was released, Infinite Wealth, the only turn-based one. That's an RPG. So there are 2 now, the most recent ones. The filler game that they did for between these 2 that came out in November, December this year, Man Who Erased His Name, Like a Dragon Gaiden, is a filler story for Kazuma Kiryu, the main character from all the other Yakuza games, who is almost like a side character now because they're focusing on Ichiban. Kiryu is getting up there in years. He's got some salt and pepper in his hair in this one. It's not a secret. In the trailer, they reveal that he's got cancer. And so it's like, oh shit, is this a passing of the torch kind of game? And Like a Dragon, the 7th one, kind of set that up. There's a giant scene, and it's a couple years old now, so sorry, a little spoilers, but there's a giant scene where you see some people that you thought were dead in Like a Dragon 7. And then it became, well, how did that happen? And Man Who Erased His Name, Gaiden, was like a short 20-hour game that kind of bridged the gap between number 7 and the one that came out just recently that we're talking about today, now number 8. So now we've gone from the beat 'em up real-time Yakuza to this turn-based RPG like you never knew that you wanted and would love, beating guys up in the street, but in a turn-based RPG format.
It's so
So,
wonderfully good. And
Just a question. So is the new one a turn-based RPG? Like
Yes.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, so now they've kind of unofficially said that like going forward, all the Like a Dragon, the Yakuza
mainline
games
titles.
will be turn-based like this. And so it really comes to a head in this game, without spoilers, that 7 was turn-based, and they were like, okay, no more real-time ones. But then they did the mini Kiryu, Man Who Erased His Name in December,
Judgment 2,
Right.
Man
and
Who Erased
Judgment
His
and those
Name. Yeah.
that were that. And then they basically said, yeah, okay, the main lines are going to be turn-based RPGs now. So 7 and 8 are. So from now on, if there's any more offshoots, they'll be the ones that are brawlers, and we're into turn-based
So
RPG
if
territory.
you still like the old school style, we got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
We got you. And one of the most beloved characters in the series, like Buck was talking about, 0 through 6 was about Kazuma Kiryu. He was the main guy, and he's the dragon of Dojima, and just the
Infamous
coolest
character design.
The
Yeah.
coolest
Yes.
guy. Yeah,
Yes.
like you'd know him if you saw him. He's been in a
yeah.
lot of gifs and
Mhm.
memes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
He
And
looks a
passed
little
the
different
torch.
now.
Very
but
pass
cool.
the torch to
Basically,
Ichiban.
yeah, he's just very kick
Yeah.
ass.
Like, I mean, I joke that I think I look like Kiryu. I really look like Nanba, but
so itchy.
yeah, right. So, but there's this third beloved character, and that's all I'll mention as far as characters go, who has been a constant thorn in Kiryu's side, but not. He's the wild card, Goro Majima. And what's really interesting is Yakuza 1 takes place in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yakuza 0 takes place in, I believe, 1986, 1987, something like that. So it's kind of the origin story. And interestingly enough, Yakuza 0 was the title that really catapulted Yakuza in popularity in the West. and it went on sale real quick. It was a PS4 classic. You can find it on one of those little red box PS4 classic boxes, Yakuza 0. You actually swap between Kiryu and Majima at various, like one
Makes
chapter
sense.
will
Yeah.
be Kiryu, one chapter will be Majima,
Ah.
and then back and forth. And then
So they've
by
done this before.
They've done. I wasn't going to say much a little bit ago, but they've done this before. So, and you kind of get to see by the time it hits the end of Yakuza 0, sort of how their paths intersected even before the first scene between the two of them in Yakuza 1, because there's this scene very early in the game where you meet Majima and you think to yourself, this guy's a little weird, but Kiryu's kind of okay with it. It's like he knows something we don't. Yakuza 0 is the explanation to that.
Gotcha.
And is so good. It's in my
That's cool.
0 is in my top 3.
The storytelling, great.
Yeah,
So,
it's fantastic.
so let's move on to the mechanics of the way that this one works, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that the story really lends itself to is, like you just said, Kiryu is the cool guy, right? He's the like, holy, the chicks are looking at him. The guys are like, he is so cool and so tough, which completely lends itself to the fact that it's a brawler where you control one character. In Like a Dragon, so number 7 and number 8, you're playing as a new character, Ichiban Kasuga, who, somebody got shot and died, and he went to jail for them. So his friend went. It's the same backstory as Kazuma Kiryu, but with a different guy. The difference is this dude is so charismatic that he's like the Garl, Sea of Stars. Like he's the lovable goofball that everyone loves, and he is constantly gravitating people towards him. So it's a very natural transition of
He's a
yes,
real
the
hero.
backstory. Yeah, yes, the backstory was the same, but he would have a party of people around him and have them supporting him in it, right? So it really lends itself to being a turn-based RPG where you have a party of 4 different characters. So the way that this game basically works is Kiryu is a little bit of a goofball, and he always wanted to be a hero. He literally talks about how
Ichiban.
Ichiban talks about how when he was a kid and growing up, he really loved the Dragon Quest games. He actually name drops like Dragon Quest games and says, I imagine myself going out and killing slimes, and that's what I wanted to do. And so really early on in the previous game, you go to fight like a guy on the street like picks a fight with you, and a flash of light happens, and all of a sudden the dude has like red eyes and armor on. And his other party members like literally go, what the hell? What just happened to that guy, Itchy? And he's like, well, I imagine that I'm the hero and that they're bad guys and we have to stop them. And his charisma, kind of affects the other party members, and they see that this is a little crazy. But at the same time, it lends itself to this job system, which we'll go into in a minute, which makes all those things make sense. So this is a turn-based RPG, even though you're on the street fighting other dudes on the street. It works like a real turn-based RPG, but in a 3D setting where you can knock people into lampposts or pick up road signs and hit them with those, or use your abilities and whatnot too. So this game has a job system that it works with that takes all those things into account. So the cool thing about both the Like a Dragon turn-based games is that while on the surface it looks exactly like that, it looks like people fighting in the street, but with turn-based combat, and your different jobs make you look different ways. You look like a knight, you look like a hostess, you look like a samurai, you look like all these different jobs. But under the core of that, if you're Nanba, the homeless guy, that's his class, homeless guy, and you have an enemy who's weak to fire, he has this ability called what's the
Pyro
burp?
belch.
Pyro belch, and he takes out a lighter and he burps into the lighter, and it does a fire. Under the surface, he drinks booze, and but under the surface, that's a cone AoE fire attack.
Burning
Right?
hands.
It's an RPG. Yes, it's burning
Burning
hands.
hands. Yeah.
It's-
Thank you, Raph.
Yeah.
So he hit the nail on the head. Every single thing that you do, there's a hostess job, and it has some healing capabilities. And one of the things she can do is she can shake up a champagne bottle and spray drinks to all of your party members, and it heals everybody. It's just an
Excellent.
AoE. It's just an AoE heal.
I love it. I
In
love
disguise,
it.
right?
That's great.
I love that.
It truly is wonderful. And Yakuza has this wonderful Easter egg effect. We'll wrap up here in just a moment. Buck and I could keep going on, but
Yeah.
I've got a few more fun
so
talking
much.
points.
a really rewarding part of playing the Yakuza games and just really allowing yourself to take your time, see the sights, talk to the characters. It has this amazing Easter egg effect because you start playing those games. It's like the Harry Potter it's like the Harry Potter books and movies, and it's like the Lord of the Rings stuff, and it's like anything that gives a nod to itself, or anything that is kind of like saluted in other mediums. Yakuza gives you the best throwbacks as you progress through the games, and you see things that you saw in a previous game that come back, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's back. Oh, I love that character. It does it very, very well, and in such a way that, like I said, the side content is so much fun and so rewarding and just so good. You actually want to do it. It does not feel forced. And my parting shot, Buck was talking about these environmental effects, right? You might pick up some guy's bicycle and just bash some asshole over the head with it.
It's perfect.
My favorite environmental interaction in all of Yakuza is literally, I remember Ichiban in part 7 kicks this guy into oncoming traffic, falls into this car window, and it's these gangsters. And one puts his arm around him, the other one puts his arm, and the guy they just drive off with the guy. And it's an instant kill. It's an instant kill.
Great.
That's so funny.
Perfect.
It's hilarious.
That's
the tip of the iceberg, like with the combat humor. It's mwah.
The
I
attack
love
animations
Yakuza.
are genius.
So I got 2 fun closing points. One is, like Denny mentioned earlier, there's really great real life locations
We
in
didn't
Japan.
even talk about the food.
I know we didn't get to talk
There's
about
too
food
much
and the
to
food
talk
things.
about
There's too
both
much stuff
these
to talk.
games, yeah.
There's so much game. That's why he brought it up as his last week's dating sim, because
Right.
there's all that stuff that we could bring up.
Right.
There's all these great, whether they're renamed or not, like Sotenbori being renamed Dotenbori. Those are real life locations in Japan. So my last trip last fall, I was like, I'm gonna go to some Yakuza spots. So I have some great photos and send it to Mac that he can pop up on here, because I went and saw the giant crab in Sotenbori. That's the real name for Dotenbori in those places. I went to see the giant Gundam in Yokohama, but in Like a Dragon and in Infinite Wealth, you go to Yokohama and you go to that park, and it didn't dawn on me till later. And I have the video that I put in Discord. You guys can see too. I was like, this looks so familiar. And I was playing Infinite Wealth a week ago, and I'm like, holy crap, it's the park in Yokohama. I walked down that railing. I went, okay, the Gundam's right behind that cruise ship. There's the cruise ship. There's this park here with the statue in it. You can actually go there in Yakuza too. So it's cool for us to be able to visit those places in real life, to be able to see those was so much fun.
Incredible.
But the other fun one is that this is still the Sega sound team. And one of the coolest quality of life updates they did to Like a Dragon was they gave it a radio station a la like Fallout. And so you
So
find
good.
soundtrack
So
CDs
good.
everywhere. You find stuff from Border Break and from Phantasy Star Online
Other
and
Sega
all this stuff.
games.
When I found the Daytona Let's Go Away music
Oh,
in
Daytona
in
USA.
Yokohama Park, everything I'm running around, Daytona Let's Go Away, like that's all that I did for any of those. There are some absolute bangers of music tracks for this game during the battles and whatnot.
That's so
I can't
funny.
wait for you to hear the final boss theme, Venny, because it is
I'm
just
excited.
it is absolutely phenomenal. I put 90 hours into this game. It took about 90 hours. I did beat it last week, and
Nice.
I did almost all the side content 100% except for the island, Dondoku Island, because that's stupid. But I
I'm
did
gonna do
everything else, and I loved it.
gonna
I'll
do it.
maybe go back and do it later. I don't want to do it before the end of the game because I didn't want to delay that. It was a little grindy, even though it wasn't
Sure,
super long.
it is.
But
It is.
but absolutely wonderful. So glad to see that this has gone the direction of turn-based RPG, because I didn't know I needed it in my life.
And when you're friends with the Megabuck and he goes to Japan on vacation, he will serenade you with Yakuza karaoke from an actual Japanese karaoke
I
joint.
sang
will never
Baka
forget it.
Mitai live on Venny's stream
which is my favorite karaoke song from the Yakuza
from a
series.
karaoke Pasella
Thank you,
bar.
Buck. You are the bomb.
It was the best. We'll find video of it and maybe pop it up or link it after you guys can see. It was wonderful.
Love to
Wrap
see it.
this bad boy up. God bless you like a dragon.
Kanpai.
God bless
Kanpai.
you. God bless you,
KK.
Sega. We love you, Sega. Thank you for making these games. You're crazy. All of your shit is crazy.
Yep.
All right, we need to real quick. We'll just do our what else you got. So we don't have much time because we had so much of those games, and like these guys said, we didn't cover every aspect. Oh my gosh! So if we miss something, please don't
Iceberg.
attack us. Yeah, just go play them.
Do yourself a favor. Next time Yakuza Kiwami goes on sale, just get
Go
it. If
play
you
it.
don't like
Go
it,
play
you
it.
can stop. Yep.
Yeah,
I
I
like a
want to say
dragon.
like we kind of went in hard on Persona 3, but it is incredibly playable. It is worth playing. I think.
It is.
Yes, yes.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Matt, can I insert 20 seconds more just as a parting
Sure.
shot for Yakuza in general?
Oh, sure.
People ask me often, do you have to play them all? Do you have to play them all
That's
to
a good,
understand?
good call.
So, as Buck mentioned, 0 through 6 and Gaiden is the Kazumakiryu era, and then 7 and 8 are the Ichiban era. You can start with 1, or you can start with 7.
That's
Those
where
are
I'm
both
starting.
perfectly
Good advice.
acceptable starting
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
1 is the first of the brawlers. 7 is the first of the turn-based. Perfectly acceptable to start with 1 or 7, or even 0 if you want to go all the way back to the origin story. That is also fine. So
Go.
get at it, gamers.
Hell yeah. All right. Our what else you got this week? This week, I have a little Steam game called Dome Keeper. Have you guys seen this game?
No.
It's developed by Bippin Bits, published by Raw Fury, just a little tiny indie game. It is a roguelike digging game. You play as a little guy.
You and the job
know.
games.
It takes place on this like crazy sci-fi planet. The game begins and you crash land on an alien planet, and the entire gameplay is comprised of digging into this earthen map that you can adjust between small, medium, or large size to find this specific object. It's like this big square relic. There's a bunch of different diggers that you can unlock, and they all dig dirt in different ways, which is hard to explain, but it's really it's really cool. There's one that just like uses a drill and you just bang them against the wall, and there's one that like summons these kinetic energy balls that will bounce against one another until they run out of things to bounce against. And so you got to dig with him differently than you dig with this guy, and between digging, there's a counter that goes down, and when the counter is all the way down, monsters attack your biodome thing that you're digging out of.
Wow.
This
And
looks
so
cool, man.
when they
Yeah.
attack, you have to fly. You have to like stop digging, fly up to your biodome thing, and then jump in your like weaponry of choice to defend your dome. There's a couple different domes. I only have the laser one right now, but I like picked it up because like, oh, this will be short to play, and then I played it till 3 a.m. last night.
That's cool.
It's really
it
really
looks
fun.
cool, not gonna lie.
It's like
It's so
Kingdoms meets Lemmings.
Yeah, I guess so. There's no command. Like you have to actively do everything yourself, but the digging is, I don't know, you get farther down, the rocks get harder. And there's like power-ups you can give yourself. So while you're digging, you find currency, there's gold
That's
and
neat.
water. You trade them in to power up your ability to dig
Hell yeah.
or your ability to fight the monsters. So
This is right up my alley, honestly.
yeah, it was really fun.
This is
I'm
cool.
actually definitely
Like
going to
the
play
graphic
more
style.
of this game, actually.
I do too.
Yeah, Dome Keeper on Steam. Go check it out. It's really awesome. Buck, what else you got this week?
Well, sticking with our Japanese theme, I wanted to talk about something that we do at Retro Game Treasure that doesn't always get talked about a lot, but it's a super cool thing because if you guys didn't know, I can read and speak at least conversational Japanese. And so ever since we started our service, we carry import games. We carry Japanese games. It's an option you can select. You don't have to if you don't want to, especially since you do need some of the right consoles to play some of these, depending on the console there. But people bring up a lot of times like games that get a little too pricey, like something like a Donkey Kong Country, or like, as they called it, Super Donkey Kong. That's gotten a little pricey for us over here in the States. And so you could say like, how could you guys give a mix of games for, less than $40 with some of the games? Sometimes when you select imports, you can get some really great games do you need to be able to read any Japanese to enjoy Donkey Kong Country?
Not at all,
Exactly.
yeah.
So games like this, Mario Kart, stuff like that, where it's not like a text-heavy import, it's a totally different kind of thing. Shmups. This is a Famicom game, Star Luster, which I think there was an American game that they changed the name, but it's a shmup. So you can play that really, really easily as well too. But you do need a Retron or a Famicom to play, or a converter. They actually sell really cool converters for a lot of these because in the cases of lots of these, the pinout was not always different. On like the N64, for example, the pinout was the same. There's just one little plastic tab at the
Yeah.
bottom. If you're playing a Japanese N64, the void is here. And if you're playing an American 64, the void is right here.
Huh.
So you can actually, fun fact, if you have a little bit like that we sell, you could take this Japanese copy. This is Smash Brothers, the original Smash Brothers.
Ah, beautiful.
And you could, without even buying a converter if you don't want to, you can take the back of this cartridge off and put the back of an American copy of a crappy sports game onto it and then pop this into your American N64.
You don't
Hell
need to read
yeah.
to play
Because
Smash Brothers either.
This was their version of blocking of region locking back
That's
then.
hilarious.
But there's also some fun games. We did get this in the States, but this is an Ultraman fighting game. It's called Ultraman. We did get this, but it wasn't super popular. But then there's also things that you can get that we didn't get in the States. Like this is Batoru Dodgeball. This is Gundam Dodgeball. This is
Nice.
What?
This is
Nice.
Oh my
Chibi.
God.
This is Chibi Gundams playing dodgeball, complete with Japanese person's name graffiti on there.
Wow.
So this was made by Bandai over in the States. So a cool game that we obviously did not get. And then I'll send you a link to this video because you can show this because this is probably one of the most underrated. I don't know why we didn't get it games. This is King Kong 2. Ikari no Megaton Punchy. But
Beautiful.
But this game, I tell you what, boys, it was made by Konami, first of all, and it might as well be like a Rygar clone. Like if you just pop up,
wow.
I linked to a great part where you beat a boss and you get a key and you get to say, "I love Lady Kong" because it's got to be Japanese, right? This game is awesome. Like this game is really, it's goofy that it's King Kong, you
That's
know.
cool.
But yeah, it's a really great looking. Like I said, if you look at it, probably Rygar is one of the closest NES games I can think of that
Yeah.
like mechanically kind of matches up to this. But there's always an opportunity to get those kinds of games with our service, and it gets overlooked a lot with a lot of folks. And there's plenty of ways to play imports, even if you don't buy an import system. Systems like the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance aren't even region locked. You can just pop them into your American console. And lots of folks love those, like the Pokemon games, for example. They're a lot less expensive in Japan than they are in America. So if you want to play some of those, even though those are text heavy, most of us know most of the moves anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really deter anything.
That's
So
awesome.
just cool import stuff we get our hands on all the time.
That's neat. I never
Game
knew that.
looks
And
so
I've
fun.
been to your warehouse.
Dope.
Go to Retro Game Treasure, baby. All right.
Yeah, it's a selection. I'm okay with imports is one of the options you have to select on your preferences.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Raph, what else you got this week?
Well, the Megabuck was kind enough to share a Steam key that a developer had sent him, and I went ahead and I tried that game out this week, and
Nice.
I gotta say, I really liked it. The game is called Noxia Somnia. Forgive me, Reframe Games, if I mispronounce that, but it's a pixel art side scroller horror game about facing your fears, and apparently it's about overcoming mental health struggles like depression, anxiety.
Mhm.
I only played a couple of hours of it, but it has very Dead Cell style kind of combat, I guess, or like Metroidvania style kind of combat with like a Dark Souls sort of feel to it. You're dodge rolling things a lot, having to watch enemy animations to make sure that you're timing your dodges right and your attacks right. And there's a couple of stalker enemies involved too. The premise is you're a guy named Tristan who, I guess, from what I can tell, didn't do so well in high school. Ended up kind of being kind of like a loser, I suppose. And he works at like a dead end fast food joint or whatever. And at night, he has these dreams of being, pursued by these things. I think they're called. I don't know if it was like hunters or like reapers or something like that. these like shadow entities that will feed on depressed people's souls, basically.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
really,
the art style.
Oh yeah, no, I actually
Yeah,
I really dug the
I enjoyed those screenshots you shared.
Oh yeah. There was actually a screenshot that I thought was pretty funny. That I wanted to share with you guys. It's I'm walking through the hallways and I'm looking at a map, and you can kind of like click on certain things, and it gives you like a little like a dialogue prompt at the bottom. And I looked at this map on the wall in the school, and it says, "I've only ever left home twice in my life. Both times were trips to Florida. Going there was the worst mistake of my life." I thought that was fun because
That is
we live
fun.
in Florida and all
Yeah,
that.
true. There's a little
Um,
detail thing that they put on the. I didn't think I sent to you, but they sent to me when they were pitching. Here's the keys to review it, and they said it was actually written in collaboration with psychotherapists and counselors.
Very
Oh, wow.
cool.
Pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
you can kind of tell. It's very smartly written. Yeah, no, it's very fun mechanically too. Just like the dodging feels pretty good. You kind of unlock mechanics as you go along. Obviously, the first couple of hours in, I didn't get to experience much. I got to the first like boss fight, and I got my ass kicked by the boss. Honestly, which that I guess for me means that there's a little bit of mechanical depth to the combat system. If I'm not not quite there, but it's good. It's good. I really liked it. So Reframe Games, good job. I really enjoyed your game.
It says they are committed to
Send-
promoting mental wellness in the gaming industry.
Send your codes to GameTreasure.com if you want us to play your video game.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'll play more. Send me some horror games, guys.
Venny, what else you got this week for us?
This week has just been all about like a Dragon Infinite Wealth for me. I haven't really done much else.
No problem.
We've played it on Twitch the last few nights, twitch.tv/Mr. Vinicor. I'm usually on a couple nights a week. Pop by and say hello. Yeah, that's where we're at. If you don't want Yakuza 8 spoilers, maybe just pop in and say hello and come back later.
Don't you have the Steam Awards coming up soon that you do every year?
I do the yes, it's the annual Discord Oscars. We have a gaming Discord. We have the meme machine Discord, which is a gaming Discord that's kind of connected to my Twitch channel. And every year I do the Discord Oscars, so that is coming up soon. And we give away some prizes. We're actually giving away a Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth key, Steam key.
Perfect.
Let people
as
know
soon
where they can find that. Give the addresses real quick.
Absolutely. Twitch.tv/Mr. Vinicor. We're doing a sub goal. And as soon as we hit that goal, we're gonna let everybody enter into a raffle, and we're gonna give one lucky winner a Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth key.
I think it's already halfway there, right?
We're a little over halfway there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a big goal either. I just really want an excuse to give away a copy of Infinite Wealth. Really, I'm
Share
I'm
the
breaking
love.
even on this thing. So yeah, come by, say hi sometime. And also, I played first few minutes of also a code that was sent to Buck through one of his industry connections for a game called Geometry Survivor. Think of it as Vampire Survivors with like retro 80s arcade vibes. Just geometric shapes and really cool like thumpy retro synth music, and that's the entire game. So obviously I'm gonna play it for at least a handful of hours.
It looked like
That's-
Geometry
yeah.
Wars, if you guys remember Geometry Wars for the original
Yeah.
Xbox.
This looks
Yes.
cool.
Hell
Yes.
yeah, it does. Nice.
Let me get you the name of the developer just so we can give a little thank you.
Perfect. Yeah.
It is Geometry Survivor. That is Brain Seal Limited. So thank you guys for sending Buck that key. I really like your game. can't wait to play a little more. Thank you.
Thank you, Brain Seal. Again, if you
Thank you,
have
Brain Seal.
games, Brain Seal, sorry. If you have any games you want to have us try, Buck, you want to shoot them an email that they can maybe send them to?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Oh, our main one is games@retrogametreasure.com.
There you go. Send them to games@retrogametreasure.com, please. And that's it for our show. Thank you so much for listening.
Yahoo!
Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or Spotify. And you can help us directly by giving to our Patreon at patreon.com/thegtp. Join us next week where we will be celebrating the release of the new Final Fantasy game. by talking about
God.
the old
Can't believe
Final
that's here.
Fantasy games.
I'm
We're going
so
to be
can't believe
doing
that's already
excited
here.
about next week.
another game pairing. We're going to be comparing OG Final Fantasy VII, tried and true, with that 2020 Final Fantasy VII remake.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a big episode.
I'm so excited.
We want to thank Krugwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. We love them. We love that song. Try and find them where you can find music. And of course, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck himself. Retro Game Treasure is a monthly subscription service that sends collectors bespoke boxes of video games. I'm talking every console generation from Atari to PS4. Simply make your profile at www.retrogametreasure.com and you'll receive games tailored to fill your collection. That means you tell them you don't like sports games and they will never give you a sports game, period. RetroGameTreasure.com, obsessed with video games since 1985. My name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
悪いですね。
I was waiting for it.